Martin's reaction to the bracket reveal. The selection show will be on in 4 minutes, so I'll be watching that and reacting to it live. Thanks so much for joining me. And if you enjoy this live stream and want to subscribe, that would be great. You can check out my other content at youtube.com/@MartinBuffaloBills. And we're just at this point waiting for the selection show to start. And then I'll be reacting. We'll see who made it, who didn't, what seeds people get. Should be. Hey, Calisay, good to see you. It should be a good event. I'm looking forward to March Madness. I hope all of you are too. And yeah, it should be interesting. I'm hoping that my team Auburn will make the bracket, because that's not a sure thing. I'm about 60% sure that they'll make it. Yes, yeah. I'll be saying the results for the seeding. And yeah, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I'll try to respond to them as best I can. And we're about 3 minutes away now from the selection show starting, and I can't wait. It's gonna be a fun March Madness this year. I think we've had a lot of ups and downs. In the Big Ten, you had the teams 2 through 9 separated by like 1 game, and then obviously there were tiebreakers. But that's just an example of how crazy this year has been in college basketball. Let's see. Yeah, we got 2 minutes to go. Two minutes to go. I think some of the most intriguing teams, I'll give you guys kind of a spoiler here if you're watching right now. I think some of the teams to keep an eye on that are auto bids are UC Santa Barbara. I like Princeton, and I also like VCU. I've watched those 3 teams over the past 3 days. They've been very good. So those are teams I would keep an eye on for potential upsets depending on who they play in the first round. And we are about, yeah, it is crazy how Texas Southern got in. 13-20 overall. That's pretty wild. I definitely didn't see that coming. I haven't really watched much SWAC this year, but it would be crazy if they could pull off an upset. I'd kind of assume they'll be a 16 seed, maybe in the first 4, but it'll definitely be interesting to watch how a team like that's sub 500 but still made the tournament does. That'll be interesting for sure. All right, got about a minute. And it is 6 o'clock, so it should be starting now. Refresh. And we should be about ready for the selection show to start. Got to get through this ad on my computer, and then it should be all ready to go. There we go. All right. I'm going to go fix my computer so that I can see it a little better. There we go. That's a lot better. We're seeing some of the teams. You got Gonzaga, you got Kansas, you got Norfolk State. Looks like these are some of the teams from the past year. And there is the national championship trophy. You see some of the teams in their gyms or in other areas just waiting to hear their seed called. and we are underway. And if you guys were wondering why I don't have the selection show volume, that's for copyright purposes. So all your breakdown will be live from me. You will not be getting any breakdown. If you're watching the selection show, obviously, you'll be getting breakdown from the experts. But if you're watching this stream, all the breakdown will come from me, and I'm not hearing anything they're saying, so it'll be all original, which should be a lot of fun. This is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a great March Madness, and I can't wait to kick things off with the selection show here. And it looks like Greg Gumbel is getting ready to announce the first #1 seed. We'll see who it is. And since I'm streaming it, it might be a little behind, so that's also a possibility. All right, so we're starting in the South region, where the number one seed is Alabama. No surprise there. Let's see who they're playing. So Alabama coming in at 29-5. They just came off a win in the SEC championship game. And they're obviously the rival of Auburn, so I'm not a fan of them. But Texas A&M Corpus Christi or Southeastern Missouri State. Yep. So that will be a first four matchup to watch. Texas A&M Corpus Christi and Southeast, not Southeastern, Southeast Missouri State. So you see the reaction from the Red Hawks there. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I've personally never been to a tournament game, but I definitely want to go. It's definitely on my bucket list. And now we get to the 8 seed Maryland, coming in at 21-12 overall. That seems like a good seed for Maryland. That's probably where I would have them. And we'll see who they're playing. West Virginia. West Virginia, the 9 seed, coming in at 19-14. That is higher than I thought West Virginia was going to be. Honestly, I thought the highest they would be was probably a 10. The 16th seed isn't decided yet. It's Texas A&M Corpus Christi or Southeast Missouri State. That'll be a first four game. And then the 5 seed is San Diego State. That's not a surprise. That's right. Yep, #1 is Alabama. And they are playing the 12 seed Charleston, College of Charleston Cougars. So that should be a really good game, just off the top here. Yeah, San Diego State Charleston, that's definitely going to be one to watch. That's in Orlando. And that should be a really interesting game. So the 4 seed going on is Virginia, coming in at 25-7 overall. They do have an injury to their big man. The number 13 seed is Furman. And Furman, Virginia should be a good game too. I don't think that'll be as good as the 5-12 matchup, but certainly something to watch. Yeah, I think Furman is coming in at 27-7 overall. And now we get to the bottom of the bracket. So the 6 seed is the Creighton Blue Jays, coming in at 21-12 overall. That seems like probably the highest I would have Creighton. I probably would have had them as a 7. So that's a good seed for Creighton as a 6 seed. And they are playing the number 11 seed NC State Wolfpack, coming in at 23-10 overall. So again, that's Creighton, the 6 seed, and NC State, the 11 seed. That should be a pretty good game. I think that one could be entertaining. Moving on, we got the number 3 seeded Baylor Bears, and they will be taking on the 14 seed UC Santa Barbara. And again, that is a team that I said to keep an eye on. I would definitely keep an eye on that game. That could be a potential upset. I would take Baylor, but that could be an upset. And moving on, the 7 seed, the Missouri Tigers, coming in at 24-9 overall. That's a little low. I probably would have had them a 6. But they're taking on the number 10 seed Utah State Aggies, coming in at 26-8. And I'm a little surprised that they're not an 11. So a few surprises here. No surprise though, Arizona is a 2 seed, coming in at 28-6 overall. And you see Arizona's reaction there. They'll be playing in Sacramento, close to home. And they are taking on the 15 seed Princeton. That should be a good game. That one right there might be your best 2-15. Even though we haven't gotten to the rest of the bracket yet, I think that has the potential to be a really good 2-15 matchup. And looking at these matchups, obviously you got the 8-9. That's always a good game. The Maryland Terrapins and the West Virginia Mountaineers. And then I honestly think San Diego State Charleston, yes, there definitely could be a potential 15th seed upset. I could definitely see Princeton over Baylor. Baylor's been sliding a little bit lately. But the upset I'd pick out of any here, probably I'd take UC Santa Barbara over Baylor with more confidence than Princeton over Arizona. Arizona's coming off the Pac-12 championship. Now, I think Arizona-Princeton has the potential to be a very close game, don't get me wrong, but I just don't really see there being an upset there. It is a potential, though, definitely a potential for that. So that's the first part of the bracket. And still teams that haven't been shown their seed: Texas A&M, Kansas, Miami Hurricanes, Marquette Golden Eagles, Kennesaw State Owls, Oral Roberts, Kansas State, and FAU, Florida Atlantic, and Houston. So just getting underway here. Again, looking back at those, we had the 8-9 matchup is going to be between Maryland and West Virginia, and we're going to be on a timeout here. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can pull up the bracket here, the current bracket. Current NCAA bracket. Let's see if I can get it. Now that's a projection. I might not be able to get it until it's fully released, but this South region looks very interesting. I have to say, this could, I mean, there's a potential for 3-4 upsets in this region. Obviously, I think the 116 isn't going to be an upset, but you have a potential for a 15 over a 2, 14 over a 3, 13 over a 4, and then you got the 6 versus the 11, which I believe was Creighton and who I'm blanking on the team Creighton is playing, but that one looked good. And the one I'd tune into out of any of these games, I would even put it above the 8-9. I think San Diego State and College of Charleston, both of those teams have played really well all season. So I would say that's the game out of all of them that I would make sure to watch. Figure out what time that game is, and then make sure you're watching it if at all possible, because that's going to be a must-watch game. Obviously, the 8-9 games are always must-watch because that's kind of a 50-50 toss-up. Looking at that 8-9 game, you got West Virginia and Maryland. That's going to be a tough game for both teams. I'd probably give the edge to West Virginia if I had to pick right now, but obviously I'm not picking games right now. But that's just my initial reaction. Probably give the edge to West Virginia. They've been playing really, really good basketball toward the back half of the season. So that's the team I give the edge to in the 8-9 game. San Diego State College of Charleston, another one I want to highlight. I haven't followed either of those teams too much this season, but I'd probably give the edge to the Aztecs as they've played a harder schedule. And now we're getting back to the selection show, so we'll be in the second region. We're going to the Midwest, where the number 1 seed is Houston, the Cougars. No surprise there. Houston was pretty firmly on the 1 line for not a week, probably like 2 or 3 weeks now. So there is no surprise. They did lose the American Athletic Conference title game to Memphis, but they will be playing. We're about to find out. They're taking a while on this 16 seed here. Will it be another first 4? I don't think it will be, but we'll see. Nope, it won't be. 16 seed is Northern Kentucky, the Norse. They come in at 22-12 overall. Houston, the number 1 seed in the Midwest region, comes in at 31-3. And then going down to the 8-9, the 8 seed is the Iowa Hawkeyes on 19-13. That's a team that, and they're playing the Auburn Tigers. There we go, a 9 seed. I'm surprised we're that high. I honestly didn't think we'd be any higher than a 10. So you got Iowa and Auburn. I think that's a good matchup for Auburn. I picked them. Iowa's a little inconsistent, as you can tell by their record. And then the 5 seed is Miami, the Hurricanes. Yeah, we'll have a chance to talk about the matchup between Iowa and Auburn and the 12 seed is Drake, the Bulldogs. That should be another really good 5-12 matchup. I'm really looking forward to that one. Miami coming in at 25-7, Drake coming in at 27-7. That will be a really good game, too. Yeah, honestly, Iowa, Auburn, and now the 4 seed is the Indiana Hoosiers, who fought hard but lost to Penn State in the Big Ten semifinals, and they're playing the 13 seed Kent State Flashes. I saw a little bit of that game yesterday, and Kent State is 28-6. All right, now getting down to the bottom part of the bracket, the 6th seed is the Iowa State Cyclones, coming in at 19-13. Again, I'm surprised they're that high. I'd probably have them as a 7, but that's neither here nor there. But they are playing the winner of Mississippi State and Pittsburgh, and that will be a first 4 game. The selection show is on CBS. You can also stream it on March Madness Live. So CBS Channel 6. And we're moving on to the 3-14 again. 6 seed Iowa State against the 11 seed. And that'll be the winner of Mississippi State and Pittsburgh, or Pitt. That is a first 4 game. The 3 seed is Xavier, coming in at 25-9. I'm a little surprised Xavier's a 3, honestly, and they'll be playing the 14 seed Kennesaw State, the Owls making their first ever appearance, I believe, in the NCAA tournament, and they will be playing Xavier, a team that really got pounded by Marquette in the Big East championship game. That's another interesting matchup. Looking at Iowa State and Mississippi State or Pitt, I think Pitt probably first 4 games. So you have they flip from it. But they'll show the whole region at the end. The 7 seed is Texas A&M at 25-9, and the 10 seed is Penn State at 22-13. Penn State should be happy with a 10 seed. That's a good seed for them. Texas A&M though, that's a rough seed to play. I'm surprised they're that low. And you get Texas A&M and Texas in this region because Texas is the 2 seed at 26-8, coming off a Big Ten title win. And the 15 seed is Colgate. Colgate coming in also at 26-8. That should be a really good game. Texas and Colgate. Honestly, that could be a good game or a blowout. It's hard to say. So the whole region, you got Houston, Northern Kentucky, Iowa, Auburn is the 8-9. Miami and Drake, Miami's the 5, Drake is the 12. Indiana's the 4, Kent State is the 13. That's the top half of the bracket that they're showing right now. Houston, Northern Kentucky, that shouldn't be much of a game. I like the Miami-Drake matchup a lot. I think that'll be very interesting. Bottom half of the bracket, Iowa State taking on Mississippi State or Pitt. Iowa State is the 6 seed, Mississippi State and Pitt are fighting for the 11. Xavier, the 3 seed, taking on Kennesaw State, the 14. Texas A&M, the 7, taking on Penn State, the 10. And number 2 seeded Texas taking on number 15 seeded Colgate. Texas A&M Penn State should be a really good game. That's a 7-10 matchup. Iowa State, honestly, I haven't watched much of Mississippi State or Pitt, so I couldn't tell you who they'd want to play. But I think whoever they play, that 6-11 game is going to be another heck of a game. That's going to be one to watch. And Kennesaw State taking on Xavier. Xavier just lost Zach Freemantle for the season, so that's definitely something to keep in mind there. If you like Kennesaw State, I haven't seen Kennesaw State this season, but they're making their first appearance in the NCAA tournament ever, and I think that's probably about as easy a 3 seed as you'll take on. Someone that lost one of their, I don't know where Zach Freemantle is in scoring, but I'd have to imagine he's probably top 4, and he's been a very impactful player for that team. So we got 2 regions down here, 2 regions to go. Any thoughts so far on this bracket? Let me know in the chat. Definitely, I would say out of the 2 regions, I would say the South looks like it's going to be more competitive than the Midwest. Better games, I think, in the South than the Midwest overall. But I think both brackets are going to be interesting. And then we'll see on the West and the East and how those stack up coming up. So, again, Since I'm an Auburn fan, I think I have to highlight the matchup against Iowa. That should be definitely a difficult matchup, but I think it's one Auburn can win. I don't like Auburn's chances against Houston if they get past Iowa, because Houston is just a powerhouse. I don't give us really any chance in that game. But I think Wendell Green Jr., Johnny Broome, Jalen Williams. I think one of the first 4 is an 11 seed. So the first 4 has 2 games that are a fight for the 16 seed, and 2 games that will be a fight for either an 11 or a 12 seed. It's not the same every year. I think sometimes it's an 11, sometimes it's a 12. I think it's usually an 11 though, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, the teams that got the 11 seed, those are at-large teams, whereas the teams that are fighting for a 16, those are auto bid teams or teams that won their conference tournament. So every year they have 4 teams that are auto bids fighting for 2 16 seeds, and then you have 4 teams that are at-large teams that are fighting for an 11 or a 12. It's usually an 11, but I think I've seen it as a 12. In this case, so far, we have Mississippi State and Pittsburgh Pitt fighting for an 11 seed. Yeah, so I think Iowa and Auburn should be a good game. I just don't like Iowa's inconsistency. Auburn hasn't been the greatest this season either, but I think Auburn should be able to take advantage of that and should be able to win. And we are about to be back here in a second with the selection show. Again, if you missed it, the first two regions have been broken down already. It's the South region and the Midwest region. Two more regions to go. We got the East and the West, I believe. And here we are. Greg Gumbel's about to reveal another number one seed. And I'm assuming it won't be a surprise. And the number one seed, so we're going to the West. And it is the Kansas Jayhawks. That is no surprise. Kansas has been great all season. With the exception of that Big 12 championship game, they played really poorly. It was a sloppy game by them. I watched that yesterday. But I think Kansas has a really good shot, depending on who is in their region, of getting to the Final Four for the second year in a row. And they will play the 16-seeded Howard Bison, coming in at 22-12. I don't know a lot about Howard, but I know they won against Norfolk State, I think it was, on free throws yesterday. So, but again, I don't really give any of the 16 seeds a very good shot. And the 8-9 came up really fast. The 8 seed is the Arkansas Razorbacks, and the 9 seed is the Illinois Fighting Illini. That one is probably the easiest 8-9 for me. Illinois has been very inconsistent, so I definitely go with Arkansas there. So the 5 seed is the St. Mary's Gales. That's right around where I would have them. They're 26-7. Ooh, this is going to be a good game. St. Mary's and VCU. VCU just got the automatic bid out of the Atlantic 10 today by beating Dayton. That's a game I watched. St. Mary's 26-7, VCU 27-7, and now we got UConn. UConn coming in at 25-8. They are the 4 seed in the West, and they are playing the 13 seed Iona Gales. Geez, that is a tough draw. Iona is no joke. They got Rick Pitino as a coach. And then 6 seed is the TCU Horned Frogs. Wow, this region is stacked so far. This is probably the most stacked region of any of the 3. We'll see who TCU is playing. They're going to play either Arizona State or Nevada. So Arizona State or Nevada, that's another first 4 game, if you've been keeping track. So Arizona State and Nevada will be fighting for the 11 seed. I like Arizona State in that game. They play a more competitive schedule, maybe, although the Mountain West has been very good this season. The 3 seed is Gonzaga, coming in at 28-5. Not a surprise there. That's probably where I would have them, as a 3 seed. And they are playing the 14-seeded Grand Canyon. They are coming in at 24-11. Won the WAC last night. Actually, yeah, pretty late last night. And that should be a pretty good matchup. I see Gonzaga getting past them pretty easily, though. Northwestern is a 7 seed. And Northwestern is making their second appearance in the NCAA tournament of all time. And again, I don't think I mentioned this off the top, but after we get through the entire bracket, I'll be doing a breakdown and then editing and posting that as a video. The 10 seed, who Northwestern is playing, they are Boise State, coming in at 24-9. Northwestern Boise State, that's gonna be a heck of a game. And then the 2 seed in this region is the UCLA Bruins, coming in at 29-5. So UCLA on the 2 line, that's where I'd have them. We'll see who they're playing. UNC Asheville, another team I'm not very familiar with. They're the 15 seed. I don't see a 15-2 upset here. I think UCLA, even with their injury, they have a couple actually, but they have one player who's a really good contributor. I'm forgetting the name, on defense. So going back to the top of the bracket, Kansas 1 seed, Howard 16 seed, Arkansas 8 seed, Illinois 9 seed, St. Mary's 5 seed, VCU 12 seed, UConn 4 seed, Iona 13. I think UCLA will definitely get to the round of 32, but if they draw Northwestern or Boise State, I think that could be a tough game for them with one of their major defenders out for the season. Uh, TCU over Gonzaga, that might be a good round of 32 upset pick. TCU has played very well this season. Now that they have Mike Miles Jr., their leader really in, I don't know if he's their leader in scoring, but he's really their team leader. Now that he's back and he's been back for about 2-3 weeks, they're really clicking on all cylinders. I would definitely consider taking TCU over Gonzaga. Again, don't know if I'm going to do any of these things yet. This is just my initial reaction. And we see the teams that still have to get their seeds called. We have the Florida Atlantic Owls, Oral Roberts Golden Eagles, Kansas State Wildcats, and Marquette Golden Eagles. Yeah, so this has been interesting so far. I think that's a very good region. Again, the matchup I want to highlight here, and again, if you're new, consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this, and you can check out my channel at youtube.com/@MartinBuffaloBills. Matchup I want to highlight because I've watched both of these teams play is the 5-12 matchup, and again, we got a ton of great 5-12s. All three of them really so far have been really good, but we got VCU as the 12 seed, St. Mary's College as the 5 seed. St. Mary's, I saw them play Gonzaga once, and I also saw part of their game against BYU. I think that is a very interesting team and a dark horse to go maybe to the Sweet 16, but VCU stands in their way. VCU has Adrian Ace Baldwin Jr., and I watched him play today. He can light it up from three. He's their point guard. They also have some other players down low that are pretty good. I'd probably take St. Mary's as the 5 seed over VCU, but I definitely wouldn't have a problem taking VCU there. I think St. Mary's with Aiden Mahaney and Logan Johnson, I'd give them a bit of an edge in that game. I think they might just have a little more firepower. They're also sound at the defensive end. But after what VCU did against Dayton today, I'd say if I was giving the breakdowns of who I think is going to win that game, I'd give St. Mary's a 55% chance, and I'd give VCU a 45% chance. That is a very, very evenly matched game, in my opinion. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Matchup there. And I don't think I got a chance to break down Auburn versus Iowa, and I'll probably do that in more detail on my channel since it's my team in a subsequent video. But Iowa has Chris Murray. They got Tony Perkins, and Auburn led by Wendell Green Jr., the point guard. And they also got Johnny Broome, Jalen Williams, Alan Flanagan. And it looks like we're about to be back, but I think Auburn matches up with them pretty well. Chris Murray is going to be a lot, but Iowa's been inconsistent. They've shown that they can come back against Michigan State. They were down 11 with like a minute to go. That was pretty crazy, and came back to win that game. But I just like Auburn here. I think they're an experienced team. Iowa is too, but I think Bruce Pearl will have them ready, and I like them into the second round. And that's it, because I think Houston will blow them out of the water probably, but they'll at least get one win. And now we're into the East, where Purdue is the last number 1 seed. So Purdue is on the 1 line. They did win against Penn State today. I did not see that game, but I saw their game against Ohio State. They looked very good in that one. And there they are. And we'll see. They should be playing, Southeastern Missouri State or Howard. That is a mistake. That's got to be a mistake because Southeastern Missouri State already had their number called. Howard. Oh, there we go. Okay, it was a mistake. Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson. That's the first four matchup for the 16. Memphis is the 8, coming in at 26-8. And Florida Atlantic is like, where are we? Florida Atlantic probably might be a 9 even. Yep, there they are. Right on cue. Florida Atlantic 31-3, 9 seed overall. So they were going to get in comfortably even if they lost to UAB. They probably would have been a 10. That's interesting. I agree with that. I mean, they would have had 4 losses had they lost that game. And the 5 seed is Duke, coming in at 26-8. A little surprised that Duke's not a 4, but that's completely understandable having them as a 5. It's been a weak ACC this year. And the 12 seed is Oral Roberts, led by Max Abmas. That should be another really good game to watch. So Oral Roberts and Duke, that just, I mean, these 5-12 games have been unbelievable. Like, really, really good games. Like, I mean, we've had good 5-12s in the past. I don't think they've been this good. And the 4 seed is Tennessee, coming in at 23-10. And they will be without their starting point guard. And they are playing Louisiana, the 13 seed. I would definitely think about taking Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, in this spot. They're 26-7. Tennessee missing, I believe his name is Zakai Ziegler. He's their starting point guard. Number 6 seed is Kentucky. Wow, they're at 6. That seems about right. I'd have them as a 7, maybe 21-11 overall. And who will they be playing? I believe this is another first 4. Nope, it's not. I was wrong. Providence, the 11 seed. I'm surprised Providence is an 11. That's kind of wild. I would take Kentucky there and don't think about it too much because Providence has not been playing very well lately. Kentucky did lose to Vanderbilt, who is not going to make it, most likely, unless they're a 10. The 3 seed in this region is Kansas State, and Kansas State has had a really good season under Coach Jerome Tang. He's done a fantastic job there. We're about to see who they're playing. They're 23-9. And they will be playing number 14 seed Montana State. The Bobcats, I believe, coming in at 25-9. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know much about Montana State, but I do know K-State is really good. Okay, the 7 seed is Michigan State. I'm kind of surprised they're not an 8 or a 9. They're 19-12. And who will they be playing? They will be playing USC. Wow, USC got in comfortably. I thought they would be an 11 for sure, but 22-10 overall. That should be a good game. You got Boogie Ellis, and then you got Tyson Walker for Michigan State. And the 2 seed is the Marquette Golden Eagles. No surprise that they're at 2. We'll see who they'll be playing. I think I like Marquette into the Sweet 16. I know that's not like a hot take or anything, but I like them over USC or Michigan State. We'll see who the 15s. Oh, okay. I might take that back. Vermont is a very good team. That's going to be hard. So the Vermont Catamounts round out the bracket, and they are the last team called. So again, going back through, we got Purdue, the 1 seed, Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson, the 16 seed. That's the first 4. Memphis, the 8 seed, Florida Atlantic, the 9. Duke, the 5 seed, versus Oral Roberts, the 12. Tennessee, the 4 seed, versus Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, the 13. Out of these matchups, honestly, Memphis, Florida Atlantic, that's going to be a fantastic game. Duke, Oral Roberts, also a really good game. And I think 3 out of those 4 are going to be really good. Then you got Kentucky the 6, Providence the 11, Kansas State the 3, Montana State the 14, and Michigan State the 7, USC the 10, Marquette the 2, and Vermont the 15. This is another really stacked bracket, I have to say. You got Kentucky, you got Kansas State, Michigan State, USC, Marquette. You got Oral Roberts, you got Duke, you got FAU. I mean, FAU Memphis. I mean, you got to feel bad for Purdue. Like, FAU and Memphis, those don't seem like 8 or 9 seeds. Like, that's going to be a really hard round of 32 matchup. I mean, Purdue's a good team, but. And now conferences. Big 10 with 8 bids, SEC 8, Big 12 7, ACC 5, Big East 5, Pac 12 4, Mountain West 4, West Coast 2, and the American 2. So last 4 in, Mississippi State, Pitt, Arizona State, and Nevada. First 4 out, Oklahoma State, Rutgers, North Carolina, and Clemson. Honestly, surprised North Carolina was that close. Oklahoma State is the first team out, I believe. Rutgers the second team out. So Nevada was the last team in. That's got to feel good for the Wolfpack. Net ranking of 37. The highest net ranking out of these teams is Pitt, who has a net ranking of 67. Arizona State at 66. Mississippi State 48. And Nevada 37. That's the last 4 in. Yep. So now we have the entire bracket, and now I'm going to get out of the selection show and do a little breakdown of it. We're gonna go to the bracket. All right, so we got the entire bracket here. I'm looking at it. We'll go region by region. I'll pick out the best games, and then I'll do a couple of picks. I'm not going to make my official bracket yet. I'll do that. I'm going to make a ton of brackets this season, but I'm going to make one that's like the best one. So we'll get out of this. I'm just going to get my phone pretty charged. So looking at these regions, we got the 1 seed Alabama, and they will take on Texas A&M Corpus Christi or Southeastern Missouri State. Here, I'm gonna do this, move it up so that I can look at the bracket. And so the 8-9 game is Maryland and West Virginia. Maryland, the 8 seed, West Virginia, the 9 seed. San Diego State and the College of Charleston, that's the 5-12. Again, just fantastic 5-12 games this season. I mean, these are really, really good games. You got the 4 seed Virginia, the 13 seed Furman. I believe Furman's in Virginia too, so that could be kind of a big brother, little brother type of game. Then you got the 6 seed Creighton and the 11 seed NC State. I really like that game. I think NC State's been a little bipolar in that you don't really know what you're gonna get. Creighton, I mean, they got pounded by Xavier. So that's definitely going to be a game to keep an eye on. Creighton and NC State. I trust Creighton more than I trust NC State. I don't think Creighton's exactly peaking right now, though, so if you were getting really aggressive here and wanted to go for a bracket with upsets, you might think about taking Creighton, and then you might think about taking Santa Barbara, and then put Santa Barbara in the Sweet 16. That's a really good UC Santa Barbara team. So Baylor UC Santa Barbara is going to be a fantastic game. So if I had to choose 3 games here that are my favorites, I would go San Diego State College of Charleston 1. Let's see. Maryland, West Virginia 2, and Wow, Arizona, Princeton. This is such a good region. This is going to be a really, really hard region to pick, the South. Um, I think the Missouri Utah State game will be good. I'd honestly say UC Santa Barbara and Baylor. I gotta say it. That's gonna be the third best game in my opinion. So if you're tuning in to watch any one game, any singular game, the game I would definitely go after is San Diego State and the College of Charleston, the 5-12 game. And I honestly, if you can just watch all the 5-12 games, if you don't have any time to watch any other games, just watch the 5-12s because these are going to be fantastic matchups this year. Like, we've seen some good 5-12 games in the past and some upsets. This has the potential to be a all 12 over 5 type year. I don't think it'll happen, but I could definitely see 3 out of 4 being 12 seeds. So I'm going to go down the bracket. So that takes us from the South region to the East region. Purdue taking on either Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson. And then you have the 8-seeded Memphis Tigers and the 9-seeded FAU Owls, Florida Atlantic. Wow, that game, man. Memphis and Florida Atlantic, that's going to be one heck of a game. Again, in this region, any game, if there's any game you want to watch, is definitely Memphis FAU. I would even say in the second round, Purdue versus either of those two teams, like, that's going to be good. Like, Memphis is playing really high-level basketball. So is FAU. They're both peaking at the right time, I would say. Yeah, that's just going to be fantastic. Trendy pick is an upset over Purdue here. I mean, I hate to say it. Like, Purdue has played really well this season, but if you're looking for a 1 seed to pick off, I would definitely go with Purdue. I mean, that, like, if they get to the Sweet 16, they're playing Duke, Oral Roberts, Tennessee, or Louisiana. I think you could have a situation where Duke, Tennessee, or Oral Roberts. I don't really know Louisiana that well, so I'm not going to speak for them. But you have a situation where Duke, Oral Roberts, or Louisiana or Tennessee, sorry, any of those teams I could see taking out Purdue. Honestly, I think Duke Oral Roberts will be a really good game. Honestly, the 6-11 isn't that appealing to me. I just think Providence is just sliding right now. I'd take Kentucky there and don't even think about it. But I think whichever team you have moving on there, either Kentucky or Providence, you have to have them losing to Kansas State. That's just too talented a team for either of those to handle. I wouldn't say you have to. Like, Kentucky, Kansas State, that could be a really good game. I just give the edge to Kansas State. They've had a special season, and I think it's not going to end at the round of 32, you know? And then you have Michigan State and USC, and then Marquette and Vermont. I mean, this is just another great bracket. It's another great section of the bracket. And again, we are talking about, if you're just tuning in, this is the East region. So I'm going down the bracket, and then I'll go across to the West, and we'll finish in the Midwest. This another really, really fantastic region. Again, the game I'd watch, Memphis FAU, without a doubt. Definitely Memphis FAU. You have to watch that game. Number 2, I'd have to think about number 2. I'd probably pick. I'd take Duke and Oral Roberts as number 2, because that's going to be a really contested game, I think. So Duke and Oral Roberts is my second best game. Again, these 5-12s are just fantastic. You're probably going to hear a 5-12 matchup in one of my top 3 for each region, because these are just These are really fantastic games. And then I don't think Michigan State USC. I'd take USC there. I think that could be number 4, but I'd take Marquette and Vermont. I just have a feeling Vermont, that's gonna be a tough 15 seed for 2-seeded Marquette to play. Marquette is hot, so is Vermont. I think Marquette gets past them. I think Marquette into the Sweet 16 is a good pick. But if you're looking for a 15 over 2, let's see. You got UNC Asheville, UCLA, Colgate, Texas. I think just honestly, I like Marquette a lot. I'd probably, if I was picking a 15-2 upset, the one I'd pick would be, I'd probably take Vermont over Marquette. I think I like Marquette a lot. I think Marquette might be the weakest 2 seed. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Texas, strong 2. Arizona, strong 2. And then you have UCLA, strong 2. Marquette's also a strong 2, but Vermont is not a 15. That's not a 15. They did a disservice to Marquette by putting them against Vermont. Marquette is definitely a 2, but Vermont plays more like a 12 or a 13, in my opinion. So that game is going to be interesting to watch. I think Marquette wins it by maybe 6 to 8 points, but again, it's going to be close throughout. I think maybe they pull away late a little bit, but that's going to be another really good game. And then you got the West region, and I'm going to start at the top here. Excuse me. And the number 1 seed is Kansas. They're taking on Howard. Again, none of these 116 matchups look like something I would pick. Like, if you want to take any 16 seed, I just wouldn't. I'm not going to pretend there's a 16 seed that I like here. Like, I like all the 1 seeds into the round of 32. I'm not going to pick Howard over Kansas. I'm not going to pick whoever plays Purdue over them. I'm not going to pick Alabama to lose, and I'm not going to pick Houston to lose to Northern Kentucky. Arkansas, Illinois. Again, I laid this out earlier. I like Arkansas. Illinois is just inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get. Like, they could beat Arkansas by 15. They could lose to Arkansas by 30. Like, you honestly don't know which version of Illinois you're going to get. So go with the more consistent team. Really good coach in Eric Musselman. And I think Arkansas, they're going to be difficult for Kansas. Not as difficult as Memphis or FAU is going to be for Purdue, though. Memphis and FAU, honestly, those are teams that are playing like maybe a 5 or a 6 right now. So that's going to be really hard for Purdue. But let's see. Yeah, I think Alabama is probably as the second hardest matchup if they play, really no matter who they play. I think Houston will take care of Iowa and Auburn. I think Kansas takes care of Arkansas or Illinois, and Purdue will struggle with Memphis or Florida Atlantic. Mark my words. I mean, those are not easy teams to play in the second round of the tournament. And then St. Mary's VCU. This might be my favorite game on the entire bracket. And yeah, this is just going to be a fantastic game. You can think of most of the 5-12s as like a 7-10 matchup. This is an 8-9. This is definitely an 8-9. An 8-9 in how good they are. Not in how good they are, my bad. An 8-9 and how evenly matched they are. In terms of how good they are, VCU, I'd say both teams, St. Mary's definitely is a 5. VCU might be playing like a 7 or an 8 right now. So this is definitely going to be, it's going to be a very, very interesting game. If you choose to watch any games, if you don't have any time and you're thinking to yourself, oh, which March Madness game should I watch? This is the one. This is the game. St. Mary's versus VCU. If you watch no other games in the round of 64, watch St. Mary's versus VCU. Doesn't matter what time it is, just watch it. It's going to be a good game. And if you don't have time to watch the whole game, watch the end of the game, because that's going to be a good ending. St. Mary's College and VCU, that's a must-watch basketball game. I think I'm going to say it. That's my favorite game on the entire bracket right there. That's just a really good game. I've watched both of those teams play. I watched VCU today. St. Mary's looking a little less than great against Gonzaga the last two times. I'd still take St. Mary's, but that's going to be a really interesting game to watch. And then you have UConn Iona. I mean, that's going to be a really good game. You got Rick Pitino going up against UConn. He used to coach Louisville, so he has experience not with this iteration of UConn, obviously, under Dan Hurley, but he's played UConn before. And then you have TCU taking on one of the 11s. That is West. Yeah, it's Arizona State and Nevada. So this game, I like Arizona State a little bit. Nevada's a very good team. I'd take Arizona State there. TCU, I don't think they're gonna lose that. TCU is a really good team. But again, another 6/3 here. If you're looking for a 6/3, TCU Gonzaga. Again, in how evenly matched they are, I see that as an 8-9. Obviously, TCU, I think 5 or 6. Gonzaga, honestly, playing like a 2 or 3 right now. TCU maybe even playing like a 4. I mean, they're really good. Yeah, I'd definitely think about taking TCU over Gonzaga. Gonzaga is peaking at the right time, but TCU, I mean, getting through the Big 12 this year, the Big 12, easily the best conference in NCAA Division I men's basketball. So any Big 12 team, you want to think twice before eliminating them in the first round. Honestly, I could see a situation where every Big 12 team that's not an 8 or a 9, which I believe West Virginia is an 8, every Big 12 team I could see getting to the Sweet 16 that's not an 8 or a 9. So having said that, I wouldn't say just blindly put Big 12 teams into the Sweet 16, but you got to think twice before eliminating these teams, because these are teams that have played the most difficult schedules in the entire country. Obviously, Oklahoma State didn't make it onto the bracket, but that's probably just because of their record. Their resume was pretty good. And then, going down to the bottom of the West, you have the 7th-seeded Northwestern Wildcats and the 10th-seeded Boise State Broncos. That's going to be a really good game. I think if I had to choose, I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to my top 3. The final matchup is UCLA number 2, UNC Asheville number 15. Again, another really hard draw for a 2 seed in the second round. You're going to be playing either Northwestern or Boise State. Those are 2 really good teams. I haven't watched Boise State this year, but they've played very well. I know that. Northwestern, I think I've seen maybe once or twice. They have really turned it on at times this season, so UCLA is going to have their work cut out for them in the round of 32. Excuse me. So, picking games here, favorite, obviously St. Mary's VCU. And again, you look at it, you look at my favorite games, it's a 5-12 in one region. In the, what region was that? Midwest? South. It's my favorite in the South and the West, and my second favorite matchup in the East. So these 5-12 games are ones that you want to put on your calendar, because these are going to be ones to watch. And then you have, I think my second favorite game, probably Northwestern Boise State. That's going to be a really good game. And then third favorite game, I'll go UConn Iona. like part of me feels like Arkansas Illinois is just going to be the worst 8-9 game. I just feel like Arkansas could run away with that one, depending on how Illinois is playing that day. So I'm gonna kind of go a little risky and not have an 8-9 in my top three. But again, that's St. Mary's VCU as my favorite game in the West. My second favorite game, Northwestern Boise State. That's a 7 versus a 10. And my third favorite game, UConn and Iona. Again, UConn, just brutal. Like last year, they drew New Mexico State in the first round. This year, they draw Iona in the first round. And then they got St. Mary's or VCU. It's going to be really difficult for them to get to the Sweet 16. If they get there, they're going to really have earned it. And then, I mean, that second round matchup, whoever you have, St. Mary's, VCU, UConn, Iona, St. Mary's, UConn, VCU, UConn, St. Mary's, Iona, VCU, Iona. No matter who you have there, that's just going to be a really good second round matchup. Round of 32, you know. That's going to be one to watch too. And let's go up to the last section of the bracket. So this is the Midwest region. So Houston, the number 1 seed, taking on Northern Kentucky, the 16. I mean, I don't know Northern Kentucky that well, so I'm not going to just blindly say they're going to get blown out, but Houston, they're looking really good. Marcus Sasser, I believe, was the player that went down with an injury. I'm not sure if he played against. Let me get that for you guys. Let's see, Houston basketball. I'm going to just check to see if he played against Memphis. No. So he is still. Thoughts on UConn as a 4 seed? So I actually just mentioned UConn. As a 4 seed, honestly, I thought they should probably be a 3. I would probably have UConn as a 3 seed. They played Marquette really tight, and then Marquette blew out Xavier in the Big East tournament. Yeah, I would have UConn as a 3, but as for their matchup against Iona, I haven't seen much of Iona, but I do know Iona is coached by Rick Pitino, and Rick Pitino is one of the better coaches in NCAA men's basketball history. So that's a really tough draw for them. I don't really love where they are in the bracket. Because they're taking on either St. Mary's or VCU, assuming they beat Iona. I think they will beat Iona. St. Mary's or VCU, that's going to be a tough draw in the second round. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I think if they get to the Sweet 16, they're going to really have earned it. You know, I think honestly, the way this looks, if they beat Iona and they beat VCU or St. Mary's, I don't see why they couldn't take down Kansas and get to the Elite Eight. I mean, they're going to really have a lot of momentum coming in if they beat Iona and then they beat VCU or St. Mary's. And I think those have the potential to be close games in the tournament that could teach them how to win close games in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, last year they lost to New Mexico State, if you follow UConn. So I think, honestly, it's going to be hard for them to make it out, like, past the Sweet 16, even past the second round. But if they get to the Sweet 16, I give them a good shot against Kansas. So I hope that was a good enough response on UConn as a 4 seed. But yeah, that's a brutal part of the bracket because you got St. Mary's, you got VCU, and then you got most likely Kansas in the Sweet 16 if you get there. And then I'll go ahead even a little more and say who they would play in the Elite Eight. Gonzaga, TCU or UCLA, Northwestern even, Boise State, you can throw them in there. I don't see UConn making the Final Four, I'll say that much. I think it's going to be a lot of close games. I think they could knock off Kansas. They definitely could make the Final Four, but it's just going to be like hard game after hard game in this Western region for the Yukon Huskies. So I would say that is definitely going to be a hard region for Yukon to get out of. But yeah, I thought they should be a 3 again. But as a 4, this is just a tough spot to be in for them, and the committee hasn't done them any favors the last 2 years, putting them up against a tough 13 again. And then if they get out of that, it's going to be hard against VCU or St. Mary's. So hope that was a good response to that question. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. Let's see. So going back to the final region, we're now on the second game, Iowa and Auburn. I'm going to make a promise. I will definitely predict that game. Like whether it's a short or a long form video, I will definitely be going into more detail on Iowa versus Auburn. So I'll kind of gloss over that. Say I would take Auburn in that spot. They're both kind of teams that haven't been too consistent this year. I don't think either will get past Houston, but yeah, I'd take Auburn. Again, another really good 5-12. This is probably the one that I would say is the least evenly matched. I definitely take Miami over Drake here. Miami being the 5 seed, Drake being the 12. But you never know. I mean, Drake, they can score some points. I haven't seen too much of them. I saw a little bit of the Missouri Valley championship game. Drake just blew the wheels off of, I believe it was Bradley. Don't quote me on that. I believe it was Bradley, but whoever they played, they blew them out. So yeah, that could be interesting. And then you got Indiana, they're the 4 seed. Kent State, they're the 13. And then lower half of the bracket, Iowa State taking on either Mississippi State or Pitt. I like Iowa State there. Xavier and Kennesaw State. Again, Xavier without Zach Freemantle, so that will be interesting to see how Kennesaw State plays against them without one of their better players. Texas A&M the 7 seed, Penn State the 10, Texas the 2. So you got Texas potentially playing Texas A&M in the second round. That could be interesting. An interstate battle there, or an intrastate, I guess you would call it. Texas taking on Colgate, the 2 Texas, the 15 Colgate. So 3 favorite matchups. And then I'll open the floor to any questions anyone who's watching might have. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to just throw them in the chat at any time. I'll do my best to respond to them. You got my favorite matchup. I'm biased, but I'm going to pick Iowa and Auburn. I think that'll be a good game. I'm taking Auburn, but I think that'll be a good game. I think that's my favorite game. I take as my second favorite game. I think Indiana wins that. I think Miami. This is probably, in my opinion, the easiest section of the bracket to pick, the Midwest region. But I'd have. That's hard. What's the 7? Oh yeah, the 7-10 is definitely my second favorite. Texas A&M, Penn State. Those are 2 teams that are really playing well lately. So I like that one a lot. And then my third favorite, I'd probably have to take Iowa State and Mississippi State or Pitt. So I'm kind of going chalk here because I got 8, 9, 7, 10, and then 6, 11. But I think Miami wins. I think Indiana wins. I think Xavier wins against Kennesaw State. So I think 6-11, whoever Iowa State takes on, whether that be Mississippi State or Pitt, I think that'll be my third favorite game. So I'm going to go back through and just quickly list off my favorite game in each region. It is San Diego State, College of Charleston in the South region. So these are ones that you want to put on your calendar to make sure you watch. Memphis FAU. Memphis FAU and St. Mary's VCU, those are definitely my two favorite. I'd put St. Mary's VCU at 1, Memphis FAU, at number 2. So St. Mary's VCU, my favorite in the West. Memphis FAU, my favorite in the East region. And then finally, my favorite in the Midwest region, Auburn and Iowa. Iowa the 8 seed, Auburn the 9 seed. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll wait about a minute to see if there's any questions, and then I'll end the live stream. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who watched and chimed in. I really appreciate your participation. It was really fun to do this. I'm definitely going to try to do this again next year, if at all possible. And definitely keep an eye out for that Iowa-Auburn video. We'll see if I get any other ones out before the first round. But just keep an eye on my channel. Turn notifications on if you're subscribed so that you get notifications when a new video drops. And yeah, I can't wait for March Madness. I hope you're all as excited as I am. Got a little tongue-tied there, but yeah, I hope you're all looking forward to March Madness. I can't wait. You got so many good matchups here. I mean, some of these regions, it's just like, oh my God, like how are all of these matchups a thing? So if there's no further questions, I think I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you all so much. Again, this will be posted shortly after it finishes, depending on when it processes. So we'll see when that is, and then I'll post this. So if you want to go back and look at my reaction to the bracket as it was being revealed, you can definitely go do that. And then obviously my favorite games, I listed those. And yeah, I can't wait for March Madness. Thanks so much to everyone who watched, who chimed in. And go Auburn. Go Tigers. Hopefully we beat Iowa and at least get one win, because I don't think we're beating Houston. But again, thanks for watching. Martin signing off. Bye.